Most people you know accept roof replacement as inevitable. 20 years, maybe 30 if you're lucky, and the whole structure is stripped, rebuilt, and paid for again. Vikings did not accept this. In climates of ice, salt air, driving rain, and heavy snow, they built roofs that survived for generations without replacement. Some of those structural timbers are still sound today. If you care about durability, self-reliance, and learning from systems that actually worked, subscribe to Thermal Vault now, because what follows is not nostalgia. It is practical building intelligence that modern construction quietly abandoned. The reason Viking roofs lasted wasn't superior tools or secret materials. It was a design philosophy built around one rule. Wood must always be able to dry faster than it gets wet. Everything else followed from that. Why Viking roofs were designed to manage water instead of trying to block it completely is the first lesson. Vikings understood that water always finds a way in. Wind-driven rain, melting snow, condensation from warm interiors, and even moisture stored inside green timber were unavoidable. Instead of fighting water with sealants and barriers, they built roofs that assumed wetting would occur and made drying inevitable. Modern roofs fail because they focus on exclusion. Viking roofs endured because they focused on recovery. How steep roof geometry became the foundation of roof longevity explains much of their success. Viking roofs were steep, often dramatically so. This was not decorative. Steep slopes shed snow quickly, preventing ice dams and long periods of saturation. More importantly, steep angles accelerated airflow along the roof structure. Warm air rose rapidly, pulling moisture away from rafters and boards. To apply this today, prioritize roof pitch wherever possible and eliminate shallow sections where water and cold air stagnate. Why Viking roof layers were loose rather than tightly sealed is another critical difference. Roof boards were overlapped, spaced, or layered in ways that allowed air to move between them. There was no solid sandwich trapping moisture against wood. When condensation formed, air could reach it immediately. How ridge ventilation quietly did most of the work is often overlooked. Viking roofs were rarely sealed at the top. Smoke holes, ridge gaps, and loosely fitted caps allowed warm, moist air to escape continuously. This upward exhaust pulled fresh air in at the eaves, creating constant movement even in still weather. In winter, this prevented frost accumulation inside the roof structure. Today, ridge vents only work if airflow is uninterrupted. Why Vikings allowed heat to assist drying instead of isolating it completely explains why their roofs stayed healthy. Heat from hearths and daily life was not locked below airtight ceilings. It flowed gently into roof spaces, warming timber just enough to encourage evaporation. How timber selection and preparation made rot far less likely is another piece of the puzzle. Vikings favoured slow-grown trees harvested in winter when sap content was low. Rafters were often split rather than sawn, preserving natural grain paths that shed water instead of absorbing it. Heartwood was preferred, and bark was removed early to prevent insect damage. Today, choosing solid sawn lumber for roof structures and, avoiding fast-grown plantation wood where possible, plus allowing timber to dry properly before enclosure, can extend lifespan dramatically. Why Viking roofs avoided internal moisture traps? Well, that really explains why repairs were so rare. There were no vapour barriers, no plastic films, and certainly no impermeable foams sealing moisture into the structure. Roof assemblies could dry in both directions, outward through roofing materials and inward toward the living space. Modern assemblies, however, often block one or even both of these paths. If you retrofit an existing roof, ensuring at least one clear drying direction is, well, absolutely essential. How visibility and maintenance completed the system is, I think, the final lesson here. Viking roof structures were often visible from inside, Early signs of dampness, staining or mould were noticed immediately. Small issues were corrected before decay set in. Modern ceilings, they tend to hide roof problems until damage is, well, quite severe. Regular attic inspections, especially after winter storms, actually replicate this ancient habit and prevent catastrophic failure. What made Viking roofs effectively permanent was not a single trick, but a coherent system. Steep geometry, continuous airflow, breathable layers, intelligent use of heat, and a deep respect for how wood behaves in real weather all work together. Remove one element, and the lifespan shortens. Combine them, though, and replacement becomes unnecessary. If this guide helped you understand why Viking roofs outlast modern ones and how you can apply the same principles today, do consider subscribing to Thermal Vault and perhaps share this with builders, homesteaders, and anyone serious about long-term resilience. Roofs don't have to be disposable. The Vikings proved that, and now you know how to follow their lead.